Hello everyone, a very good afternoon. I'm Sangeeta and it's my pleasure to welcome you all on behalf of Solar Quarter and First View Group with our PV Module Tech webinar series. And we are here today for our inaugural event on Bifacial Solar Module Technology Forum India. With bifacial solar already reaching a two-digit market share in solar installations, and all leading manufacturers are offering products for this technology, it's a good time to look at the achievements and challenges of bifacial solar. Although the technology has been around for some time now, with commercial production in place over a decade, it is time to look through the conditions differently now from a few years ago. And what is driving this widespread adoption of bifacial PV modules in the present time? Through this forum, we aim at bringing together some of the leading industry experts who are going to share their views on what are the market trends and how to gain acceptance for bifacial PV modules, how the technology is evolving, and how this can improve the overall product efficiency, how to evaluate the durability and reliability of the current bifacial technologies. What are the key factors to be considered while selecting modules? And last but not the least, what are the key considerations for ensuring a project bankable? But before going to the detailed discussion, I'm glad to thank our partner for this event, Longi Solar, which is amongst the top solar OEMs, or it would be wrong if I say this, it's a leading the solar PV industry in the world. Can I request my team to please play a video from Longi Solar?
We experienced the rise of Chinese photovoltaic companies and the transformation of Longi from a pathfinder and an inventor of technology to an industry leader. Longi was established in 2000 and changed the game rules of the industry by promoting monocrystalline modules in 2015. In 2016, Longi's MonoPerk technology brought the industry into an era of high efficiency and low LID. In 2017, Longi's bifacial PERK technology increases remarkable module power output with rare side irradiation. In 2019, M6 silicon wafers led the PV industry to an era of 450 watt ultra high power. With strong innovations, Longi has made numerous achievements like 24.06% efficiency of monocrystalline PERK cell, the highest production of bifacial monocrystalline modules in the world, continuous technology advances and LCOE optimization. Now, Longi is about to set off another advancement in the industry. Once again, the latest Longi high modules with optimized LCOE, especially designed for large-scale PV stations, are now available. The power output of High 5 is up to 540 watts, with over 21% efficiency. The optimal size of High 5 module, coupled with sophisticated construction, can reduce costs while increasing power generation. As seen in the PV station in 2020, High 5 can significantly lower labor, land, and POS costs. And reduce LCOE. Also, the application
Can I request my team to please replay the video again?
High 5 in Quad has proved to be a remarkable improvement in cost reduction. Advanced technology of High 5 uses optimal
Team, I request you to please replay the video again. There's a lot of disturbance. The video
LCOE,
clarity is
which
not
results
good.
in silicon wafer can reduce the medium power degradation to 0.45% per year. Compared with the traditional welding technology, Longi's smart soldering technology reduces the tensile strength of the cell by 20% and reduces the distance between cells by 2/3. This technology achieves 0.3% improvement in modular efficiency. Amplified pulse mature and reliable design. Frame, tempered glass on both sides. Ensure low capacity of modules. Being on the back of the module.
Can I please request my team to kindly replay the video again?
Without the loss of the current generation. Standardization. Perfect adaptation. We experienced the rise of Chinese photovoltaic companies and the transformation of Longi from a pathfinder and an inventor of technology.
Attendees, please bear with us. There's a technical glitch at our end. We are just trying to replay the video again. Team, can I request you to please kindly play the video again?
Hi Sangeeta, Soumik this side.
Yes.
I think we can go ahead with the panel discussion now and then again try playing the video. There's some technical glitch. So sorry.
No problem. Thank you so much. Okay, attendees, please make a note. We will come back with the video a little while later. Now let's proceed with our panel discussion with the experts who have joined us today. We have Mr. Kirti Joshi, who is the Head Quality Assurance from Adani Green Energy Limited. Mr. Venkat Rajgopalan, who is the Senior Manager of Product Modules and Inverters from Siemens Gamesa Renewable Power Private Limited, who would also be moderating today's session. Mr. Manoj Gupta, who is the Vice President Solar and Waste to Energy Business from Fortum India Private Limited. Mr. Rabindran Sundar Singh, who is the Director Design and Engineering from SD Energy. Mr. Srinivas Popuri, who is the Vice President Group Quality from Greenco Group. Mr. Sudhir Pathak, who is then Central Design and Engineering from Hero Future Energy. And Mr. Yuan, who is a Manager Technical from Longi Solar. Before I hand over the session to Venkat sir, attendees, here comes a little polls for you. So here comes the first poll. How bifacial modules technology will gain momentum in Indian market? Let's see what the attendees have to say. I'm closing the poll now. Okay, 42% of attendees have voted for all of the above. Thank you, attendees. Here comes your next poll. From which segment do you foresee for traction towards bifacial technology? I'm closing the poll now. So the clear-cut winner over here is large-scale ground-mounted projects. Thank you, attendees. And now I would like to hand over the session to Venkat sir to take the discussions forward with other speakers. Thank you.
Thank you, Sangeeta. Appreciate it. Good evening, everybody. Welcome to this Bifacial Technology Forum. I think this forum comes to all of us at a very right time in the PV industry today. If you look at it, India has always been a multi-crystalline or polycrystalline module centered industry for the past many years. In 2019, we had a major move to monocrystalline. And in 2020, in spite of all the pandemic and the COVID-related issues, bifacial modules started gaining traction. All the major vendors have launched new products with large wafers and large module sizes. So I think this whole topic, thanks to First View, they are bringing it at the right time to create awareness and understand the learnings. So the technology as such is not new. Bifacial modules and cells have been around for a long time. I remember building my first bifacial module back in 2012, still installed in Singapore and giving good energy. So the technology itself is not new, but as the adoption of the technology grows more and more, there's new learnings and new challenges. And I think that's what we want to discuss with all of you today. We have a fantastic group of experts here today from covering all aspects of the industry, big developers. Longji is one of the biggest manufacturers in the globe. And a lot of the developers who we have today also, they do their own self EPC and O&M. So it's one thing to design and install, and a totally different thing also to maintain the system for 25 years. So the O&M feedback also has to be taken care of on maintaining bifacial modules so that they're performing to their fullest intended purpose for a long time. So our speakers are all very experts at this. Before I go in and invite my first speaker, I just want to share one slide here today. Give me just a minute. Why again this bifacial makes a lot of context. So on the left side, what you see is a cost gap between bifacial and conventional module. Conventional is here it's monofacial. So back in 2016, 2017, even up till 2019, right? If you see this, there was almost 4 to 6 cent gap between a normal monofacial module and a bifacial module, which made bifacials fairly prohibitive to be considered in especially high pressure tariff industries like in India. But something happened in 2020, economy of scale, more manufacturers putting more bifacial product out. There was a tremendous drop in prices also because of the pandemic. So on the field, you could get prices between mono and bifacial as little as less than 1 cent in some cases. So that has driven enormous amount of interest in the technology. And as you can see on the right side, again, this is from Woodmac. They are quoting almost 21 gigawatt of bifacial technology to be adopted by middle of this decade, which is significant amount considering there was hardly 5 gigawatt back in 2019 last year. So it's a 5-fold increase, and it's projected to grow up. From all the announcements we have seen from the major suppliers, major manufacturers in China and elsewhere, bifacial is here to stay, and they're also equally eager to push out bifacial modules for all of us to enjoy the benefits from. So having said that, I would like to invite my first speaker here, Mr. Manoj Gupta from Fortum. Fortum is a European developer who's been in the Indian market for quite some time. I'd like Mr. Manoj to share some light on redesigning utility solar plants, with bifacial modules and trackers, and talk a little bit about that. A lot of us have questions about if 1P or 2P better with bifacial modules. Is there any specific BOS changes to account for higher current from bifacial modules? So these are kind of questions I'm sure all of us have. I'm hoping Mr. Manoj can throw some light on it. Mr. Manoj, please take it forward.
Thank you, Venkat. So first of all, I would like to submit here that I am not a technical guy. I'm a business development person.
Okay.
So maybe from business point of view, whatever I can share with the whole audience, maybe I would like to put forward those points. So Fortum is basically a global utility company based out at Nordic market, and majority of the stake is owned by Finland government, and we have around 900 megawatt of solar installation right now in India, and going forward we wish to install around 400-500 megawatt every year. So I think we are the first company who has adopted bifacial commercially. So we were the first. I mean, an year back approximately, maybe in the month of when the corona started, maybe in the month of March, April. So we were the first to place order for bifacial in a, I mean, 133 megawatt order we placed for bifacial, and that project is likely to be commissioned in next 1 month time. So whole 133 megawatt will be in operation in next 1 month time, and that will be the largest project of India as of now, which will be in operation with bifacial module. And you are right, Venkat, that earlier there was a gap of 4 to 5 cent and 6 cent, and that's how it was so challenging to adopt bifacial. But you rightly mentioned when the gap reduced to 1 cent or so, people started adopting for bifacial. The major issue with bifacial, which we had earlier, or anybody was trying to adopt bifacial, was there was no proven performance of a bifacial in the market, because the supplier, what supplier, the like Longi or any other supplier, they were used to say that bifacial will perform maybe 15-20% or something higher than the normal module or mono module or poly module. But when the gap was 5-6 cent, so it was never making an economical sense for any of the IPP company to consider bifacial module. I think when the gap was reduced, because in some of the forum, in some of the intersolar I joined in Germany, so there was a discussion going on. So even the design perspective, why people mentioned that, even some of the manufacturer mentioned that, who has a very good design background, they mentioned that mono price should be same as bifacial price. I mean, technically it should be same. If there will be a gap, no one will adopt bifacial. And we have seen that when the gap reduced to 1 cent, people started adopting for bifacial. Because what we believe is the bifacial, independent bifacial without tracker, etc., anything, you put up, then maybe the generation increase maybe around 5 to 6% only, not more than that. I don't believe more than 5-6% till the time we really have a proven data for more than a year or two. And I will share with you one example while I was discussing with a few of the module supplier, maybe including Longi also. So I told them, if you believe that 15-20% should be the higher generation, then why don't you guarantee for 15-20% generation? Okay, if you don't guarantee also, if I believe 5%, I'm ready to give you price for 5%. For balance 15%, you prove balance 15%, I'll pay you for balance 15% generation also in the LCO form. But as we see, module supplier just supply and they take back their money. It's only warranty, etc., which is on the table, nothing else. So I believe that if the commitment will come from the module supplier, also people will start adopting it. So somewhere, like you mentioned, there will be 21 gigawatt of installation by let's say by middle of the decade. I can say that the installation may reach to 100 gigawatt if the real commitment come from the module supplier. Otherwise, everybody will wait for real performance to come, and then only they will go from bifacial technology. Second point, if we talk about that, how we can further use this bifacial in increasing the performance of the already running plant, I think we are doing that experiment also now. In one of our plant, which is running for last 7-8 years, so we are thinking to add up some DC capacity, and there, as per our team, we decided that we will put a bifacial there as well to add up more DC capacity, so that with degradation of the module, so whatever commitment has been made in the generation form, so we fulfill those commitments. I think bifacial will perform there also. I think that there is a belief which is coming towards the bifacial. The only thing is, as long as the gap is maintained between 1 cent or 0 cent or whatever it is, I think people will go for it.
It seems to be a no-brainer, right? Even with fixed tilt, if there's a no price gap, just go bifacial.
Yeah. I don't see there is any benefit otherwise. And another point was with respect to tracker also, because tracker also, no one has seen the performance along with the tracker. So we had put up many prototype with various different technology with tracker, etc. Even the generation with tracker is lesser than without tracker. That is what our analysis shows in last 1 year. So we have the performance available in Rajasthan for last 1 year, and with tracker performance is lesser than without tracker performance. So
That's a,
yeah, so if the
good.
supplier believe that it will be 15, 20, 30% of extra generation, they have to come forward, they have to prove it. Once they prove it, they can take back their money.
Well, I think Jishao Yuan is listening to your discussion, Manoj. So I'm sure he'll throw some light on it when he talks about it. Thanks, Manoj.
Sure.
This is very unique viewpoint. And my numbers, when I've done an analysis, when it was 4 to 6 cents, right? Uh, in northern part of India, Rajasthan, it seemed like bifacial with tracker makes sense when the price was that different, that high. Price difference was that high. But yours is a unique viewpoint where you're saying even with trackers, the performance is not that much or lesser than fixed tilt to want or vouch for a bifacial installation. So I guess I'll hand the next person, unless anybody else has their feelings to share. I can hand over to Jishao from Longji, our sponsor. Jishao, Mr. Manoj has raised some important questions, right? In terms of warranties, definitely you can throw some light on that. Before that, how about technology advances? So with bifacial coming to the fore, one of the long dormant parts of the industry, the N-type technology, I think has to come up to become more visible. There's a lot of discussion around N-type also. Right now, there's still not as much as a discussion on bifacial because of the cost difference. But I'm sure at some point when economies of scale are there, when the challenges of cell and wafer manufacturing are met, N-type will also become big. Can you share from Longji's viewpoint where the technology is going? What is Longji going to do after P-PERC especially? Are you going head
Yeah, sure.
gating, knock on, and so on? And also answer Mr. Manoj's question. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Venkat. Mr. Manoj, you really scared me. You're not going to drop me here, right? Because I have to go on my topic, right? Okay. About the evolving technologies, there is a long story to be told. Essentially, bifacial is one of the main roads to improve the energy yield. And bifacial is a technology that causes the specific changes in 3 stages of PV value chain, just as Manoj said, cell, module, and system. For the cell level, the cell level is the will to start changing from making bifacial PV. We have bifacial PERC, which is upgraded from the mono-PERC, and we have N-type technologies like N-type, PERC, heterojunction, TOPCon. Those new technology, they are inherently bifacial. And for module technology, we have multi-busbar, half-cut, Titan soldering, and the large wafer, which is M10, 182. And those technology are combined to increase packing density, eventually to cut off the levelized cost of energy. And for the system level, yes, we have to combine the trackers, inverters. So the compatibility is always the key point. Longji has a pilot project in Livermore, US, according to the investigation of the combined system based on the 20% EBITDA. And we got the 9% extra gain, and it creates more energy to provide higher economic returns. So we do think the USA and the China market has given a great embrace to the bifacial. So we have a lot of cases for the next year and the further starting. So don't worry, energy. So for negotiate the advantages, cell PERC is the most simple and cost-effective one for bifacial. Unlike other advanced cell structures, PERC is not the bifacial by default. The step to turn PERC into a bifacial solar cell is rather simple. We just have to apply an aluminum grade instead of the spreading paste over the full real side. So for the module side, the advantages, as a result, solar project built using bifacial modules will generate more electricity than the monofacial of the same size, and it has a lower levelized cost of energy and provide higher economic returns. The challenge is, every coin has 2 sides. Sometimes the advantages, but in another technology, it is the challenges. The PERC is climbing the efficiency ladder so quickly that it is expected to reach the practical limit very soon. And bifacial PERC, the challenge is low bifaciality due to the wider aluminum fingers, which also exhibit higher resistance. The bifacial factor for the PERC is 70 minus plus 5%, and the cell efficiency for the production line is 22% to the 23.3%. But when you take a view on the end part, the challenge is the cost. Actually, most of the new technology on its commercialization way is cost and how to finalize the large volume quantity production. The end part expensive, like it has 5% more than P-type PERC. And when we talk about the bifacial top cone and the heterojunction, heterojunction supply chain is not solid. China domestically, we only have less than 1 gigawatt. The production facility cost issue has to be fixed in future. The total production line is 2 times expensive around than the PERC production line, and we have to finalize the material cost. The low temperature severe cost is higher, and the heterojunction module requires the UV resistance encapsulant. So also about the cost. And when we go back to the top cone, there is a processing technology has to be finalized. Yet the deposition methods without wrap around are not fully commercial, and the modification cost of the production line is higher, even though it can be upgraded from the PERC line. So the bifacial factor, yes, they have the advantages like the bifacial and the cell efficiency. Manufacturers, they are informed and they announced the bifacial factor for the top cone, it reached higher than 8%, and the bifacial of the heterojunction, it is up to 8% to 85%, and the average cell efficiency of the production is close to 24%. So we has deployed more than 10 gigawatts of bifacial so far. We deeply understand that whether a new technology to be chosen as new generation, it's never decided by the technology itself. Oppositely, the price and the reliability, supply chain stability, it's a complex and comprehensive. So many modules, you guys may be maybe wondering which technology will win the war. And so I'm going to just throw out my answers to the question. In the predictable future, we do think the P-type PERC will still dominate the market because the cost that means is still the dominate. The many module players, they haven't decided which technology to full bet because the production line of the cell is so expensive. There is no answer which one will win the game. If I knew that, I would buy lots of the stocks from those companies, right? I think.
Thank you. This very informative. Only one question I have, since Longji is the largest wafer manufacturer in the world.
Mm-hmm.
We have seen all these large wafers coming in 2020, right? G12, M10, and so on. For N-type, what is Longji's way forward? What's your capacity, and which size are you focusing on for N-type wafers and the large size wafers?
Right now, I have no exact information to be shared here because but each the technology tree, we have got the storage technical store like Topcon and heterojunction. We have to do the perpetuation. Mm-hmm. And we have to make sure in the right time we will launch the new technologies.
Okay. So please keep us posted. So anything Longji does influences the whole industry. So do keep us all posted which way the things are evolving. So one good point you brought up, that is whenever a new technology introduced, you need to worry about reliability in the field, right?
Yes,
for example, solar, like I said, multicrystalline modules, we have seen 40-year-old modules still performing very well because of the high quality of materials and the reliability of the manufacturing process. So that is something I would like my next speaker, Mr. Srinivas Popuri of Greenco, to throw some light on. Mr. Srinivas, good afternoon, sir. I still remember we were working on the quality of the AP01 project, 800 megawatts in Kurnool, the largest one in India at that time. I think even it still is in one location. Please do share your thoughts on reliability and quality of bifacial modules? What are your expectations? What are your experiences? And then anything testing beyond IEC standards that you're looking at from suppliers? Go, take it away, sir.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. First of all, I would like to thank for giving me the opportunity to speak on this wonderful platform with so many learned people. I feel privileged. So it is my honor to speak with these speakers, and I hope to take away a lot of learnings from here. So basically, bifacial modules on a macro level are have to be good, okay? Because as the generation would be more vis-a-vis a monofacial for a given area, it's always very lucrative and highly interesting. But there are a lot of questions and uncertainties. Okay, so I would like to put this in two different ways. One is the design, and the other one is the reliability. Okay, because as a developer, I need to also look into the design of these things. So what is the how will I design the array? How will I design the inverters, the transformers, etc., etc. Okay. So, because as Mr. Manoj Gupta was rightly telling, the manufacturer does not guarantee the amount of generation from the bifaciality, which is understandable, because they are also not very sure, because it depends a lot on the site. So the manufacturer just only quote a rough figure, like we are hearing a lot of values, 5%, 10%, 9%, and all those things. Now, my problem as a developer is, if I take that into consideration, and if I over design my project, so, and if the generation is not so good, so then I may be losing money because I have invested more and the returns are not so good. And if I under design, okay, so I might be losing some useful generation, which is again a loss to me, because it is generating more, but I'm not able to capture it and sending it and selling it. So such kind of things, they go on. So now if I come to the reliability part of the thing, again, there are many things that are not formalized yet. That is where my problem as a quality head is, right? Because there is no IEC standards for these bifacials. That is one major issue what we have. Even like the 6090412, okay, still under TS stage. Okay, now they have to discuss on that after technical specifications. Then it comes to the draft stage, and then we get the final standard, wherein we can follow those standard and get the guidelines. So I don't have a standard which I can apply to all the manufacturers as a quality head, as a quality guide. Okay, so for each and every manufacturer, I may be having separate discussions, and then I am making me agree on certain things, which is a difficult task. Some may agree, some may not agree to whatever are my requirements or so and so. And presently, manufacturers are testing on the existing standards, 2x or 3x or so and so forth. Okay, they are doing it, and they are saying that, see, I am testing with say 3x, so you should be. I am showing that these are reliable even at those conditions, but we are not sure how reliable it is because they are not formed based on the bifaciality of a module or bifacial modules, right? So either we go on the manufacturers and our own gut feeling. Okay, you are doing that. Okay, the reliability should be there. So it is also the fact that manufacturers don't have any reliable bifacial flash tester in their manufacturing setup, right? So there is only testing the front side by covering the back side and so on and so forth, and the label based on only the front side power they have. So if tomorrow, if I have to check the gain what I'm getting, I'm not pretty sure how much is I'm really gaining from that. Okay, so if like we in Greenco, we have set up a lab in our Kurnool project, T01 Kurnool project, and we have the module testing facility there. And if it is a monofacial, okay, I am very sure that if it is the 345, 365, or whatever the current rating is. If I'm testing it against the labeled the power. So I know that whether it is giving me the good performance or not. But if the same case, if it is bifacial, I cannot do that because I cannot test it on the bifacial thing. So I don't know what additional power I am getting. So generally, how we do for any reliability in Greenco as of now, because right now Greenco is having only monofacial. We are not yet launched into the bifacial. So we do it in two types. One is we randomly pick some modules of different manufacturers, and then we test it for the power rating and see whether it is performing within the labeled power output or not. And second, for that is for the performance. For the reliability, what we do is we have earmarked few modules again from various manufacturers and given them a unique identification number. So every 6 months, we perform this test on the same module and we note down the power output. So we are seeing the reliability of a module vis-a-vis what the manufacturer is claiming over a time period, how it is degrading, whether that module is reliable, that design is reliable or not. So that is how we are doing. So that is for the monofacial. So as I told you, for the bifacials, we are yet to have any such kind of setup. So in this scenario, okay, maybe what we can do as a crude method is put up a monofacial setup in one table and put a bifacial setup in another table with the same power rating or the capacity, and then see how much this is generating and how much this is generating. So it gives us very rough figures of the outcome and the reliability of any of this bifacial thing. The second thing, what is also a very difficult thing to judge is we have all the albedo factors, grass, snow, sand, everything. But what happens is in reality, if there is grass, okay, the grass obviously will be growing over a time of period, and the growth of grass is also not very uniform. Maybe in summer it grows very slowly, but in rainy season it goes very fast. So the albedo effect, which on the bifacial thing, it is not constant. There's a lot of variability in that. So that is where we cannot really see what is the advantage of it. These are the things which I'm saying on, say, first thing is that the bifacials are good, but these are the practical difficulties as a developer we are going to face when we put these things. So and the other one is bifacial. Generally, if, for any monofacial, we have a setup of module cleaning. So in bifacials, we have to even clean the bottom of that. So that's a different kind of setup we have to maybe introduce if you want to have maximum effect of bifaciality. Okay. So sure, in these kind of scenarios, the operation cost may be more. So we have to see vis-a-vis. One is the price, like what you are discussing in initial thing, that the price difference has come down drastically. But whether we are going to really get that advantage or not, we have to see, because if I want to do any testing also, I don't have any kind of IEC standards as of now. So going forward, so what I want to sum up is like bifacial modules are definitely a promising future. They have got a lot of promising features that I can see, especially in combination with trackers. But today it's a surprise to me also that he is saying that the tracker also they're not gone. That's a very new thing which I'm hearing. But generally, I feel that tracker should really give a good output. But as I said earlier, the standards are not formed up. So, and it is still because there is not much data, especially in India, where the setups are very low, less. Maybe in other parts of the world, the bifacial usage is more, especially in China and other countries. But in India, we have very, very less installation. So the data is very less. So the data is still not enough to prove the maturity and reliability of the bifacial. That is what I feel. Therefore, the warranties, I'm not very sure how we can, if at all that comes into picture, how we take about that. So what I feel the need of the hour to see that is to have concrete data for validation to firm up these standards.
Okay. Thank you very much, sir. That's something I would like also the next speaker to share. Thank you, Mr. Srinivas. You have rightly said the BSTC standard is still not fully fleshed out yet. I mean, still there was a lot of round-robin testing between global labs. And I think there is also an hesitancy on the part of developers, manufacturers, EPC to sign up for it, because nobody knows how it's going to be when actually you install the modules at site. So that's something I would like to invite Mr. Kirti Joshi, who's the head of quality at Adani, one of the biggest developers again in India. So Mr. Joshi, can you share some thoughts on how you select modules? Adani has your own bifacial manufacturing setup also in Gujarat. So my question to you is, how do you select modules, right, for your plant? And in general, even when you buy bifacial modules from other suppliers, on a case-by-case basis, I've heard that manufacturers are willing to work with developers on a BSTC basis, including the backside power itself. Of course, there is a cost implication for that. Is this something you have explored with manufacturers? And can you share your thoughts on this, Mr. Joshi? Please take it away.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. In Adani, since when we started our renewable activities, we are always planning our future projects with the latest technology. So initially we started with the polycrystalline. Then when the monocrystalline modules are becoming cheaper, then we gone for this monocrystalline. Now there is a minor gap between cost of bifacial and mono. It is about 1 cent, what you shared earlier. So now our choice is for bifacial. While going with the bifacial, we have to consider that out of bifacial, if it is beneficial only if we can get maximum gain from the bifaciality. So bifaciality gain can reduce the LCOE, what additional cost we are paying for bifacial. While selecting this bifacial, first we have to check how we can get maximum gain by using the bifacial module. So first we have to check that whether what type of site condition should be, so that the maximum gain can be achieved. Factors contributing the bifaciality gain are first of all the direct irradiation of the sun. So wherever the direct irradiation average annual average irradiation is higher, definitely we will get the ground albedo higher and the gain will be higher. So the direct irradiation we have to consider first. Then the mounting structure. Construction of the mounting structure should be such that there should not be any shadow effect or self-shading, so that by reducing the shadowing, we can get more albedo, and by higher albedo, we can get more bifacial gain. Third thing is height of the structure. If the structure we can increase the height, then definitely the diffused light as well as the reflected light from the ground will be more, and the rear side generation will be higher, so that again we can get better ground albedo and higher gain from the bifacial. Third point is a tilt angle. Now tilt angle is also the module is creating self shadow. So when the tilt angle is less, the self shadow will be the less. Size of the self shadow will be less. So the tilt angle wherever in particular location where the tilt angle is less, then you can get the lesser shadows and better albedos. Tilt angle, it means that near the equator, the tilt angle is minimum. And as the latitude increases, the angle is increases, and accordingly, the shadow will increase. So the tilt angle also is affecting the bifaciality of the module. Ultimately, our goal is, should be to increase the ground albedo. And as Mr. Srinivas said, that he is also surprised that the tracker will give the less bifacial gain. That also, I am also surprised because we are going with the tracker with bifacial. And we are estimating higher bifacial gain by combination of tracker and bifacial module. So, but still our projects are under execution. So we don't have the final outcome, so that we can comment how it is beneficial, or we are losing some gain with the tracker with bifacial module. Then last and final factor is the quality of the module. So the quality of the module is very much important because finally we can get gain out of the performance of the module. At present, the manufacturing processes are such that the uniformity in the cell manufacturing is a question, because each and every cell is not being tested for front and rear side performance. Only front side performance are being measured at manufacturing of the cell as well as the module. So if we measure both side performance, then we can estimate the exact bifaciality factors as well as the performance in the field. Similarly, during the module manufacturing, also the IC for the module performance is presently not available. So in absence of the IEC, we have to rely on the IV characteristic measurement as well as the reliability performance of the module. We have to rely on the manufacturer, what they are claiming. It is difficult to estimate the exact bifacial gain at the field, and so it is difficult to decide the inverter sizing as well as the balance of system. And it is possible that we unnecessarily we can increase our cost of balance of system, and finally we are getting less gain from the bifacial module. However, considering all these selection criteria, we can estimate the bifacial gain as narrow as possible with the actual gain. So at present, we have to rely on the manufacturer claim only.
Okay.
Recently,
just a time check.
Yeah. Hello.
Yeah, just a time check, please.
Yeah. So I am just finishing. One of our observation was the backside, rear side performance with the low irradiation is lower than the front side. So the rear side always there will be a low irradiation. In that case, the low irradiation performance of the back side is low, and again we will lose the bifaciality gain. So this is our observation.
Thank you, Mr. Kirti. I think what you said about the tracker and bifacial, Mr. Manoj has really set the ball among the pigeons, like they say, right? Everybody is very curious to know more. I think we'll come back to Mr. Manoj at the end
Maybe
of.
Venkat, just to interrupt, I would like to correct my statement actually. Maybe everybody has taken it wrongly. So what I was saying actually is, for few of the months, like particularly in winter month, the generation with tracker was lower than the normal bifacial. I mean, against poly, if you put a bifacial, let's assume it was a 5% extra generation. Then during winter month, even bifacial with tracker also the generation was almost same or sometimes lesser also.
Okay.
However, during summer month, the generation was higher definitely compared to the normal one.
Okay, so
So
there's a
Yes,
context to that.
I have a question. Mr. Manoj, when you are talking about the lower performance with the tracker, what was the location of your
I'm
plant?
talking about Rajasthan Badla
Rajasthan Bharat.
desert,
Okay.
Thank you,
and the
Mr.
plant is
Manoj.
performing to last more than 1.5 year. Yeah.
Okay, then you have good 1 full year of weather pattern data also to correlate. Okay, I think we should come back to that if you have time towards the end of the thing when we discuss bankability, right? Based on what we assume and what exactly happens. I would now like to move on to my next speaker, Mr. Rabindran, who heads the design at SoftBank Energy. Mr. Rabindran, so you have an interesting insight into this, right? So it's one thing to set up a plan based on PVCs with a monofacial module. Now you have to account for any backside generation, incorporate that into your design and constructional aspects, right? The site selection is very important for the albedo. So can you talk a little bit about this? What has your experience been at SoftBank on this, Mr. Ravinder? Please take it away.
Sure. Hi, good evening all. Very happy to be here speaking to you. Yes, I'll speak about the site selection and also the design integration of the bifacial. Look, when we went from monofacial to bifacial, it's all about managing the change. There was a change in even the way you are handling the module at site, right? You have to give it a thought. Are the laborers to use the same method or is it different? The mounting arrangements, the string circuit, the design. So there are several aspects where change management is to be brought in. And we have to get used to this as a way of life because modules are going to keep evolving. They will not remain stable like they did at 300 watt peak for a long time. Okay, having said that, we don't have any large scale reliable data. We do have pilot projects which have been in operation for more than 2 years now. Okay, we do have some good results coming from them, and probably good correlation with PVSist. I would not say more than that because it was not a full size large ground mount. It was a smaller one. Okay, site selection mainly, the albedo is important. Albedo data you can easily pick up from the satellite data, but I would prefer to have a correlation with ground mount. So if you have some time, it would be good to install a ground mounted albedo, observe over the seasons, and then go forward with a correlation. Many sites which were earlier unviable for bifacial have now become viable simply because the cost delta has come down with respect to monofacial. So that is a important aspect to think about. There are in fact some projects which I bid as monofacial, but it's viable to do a bifacial. Okay, there are quite a few design aspects, so I'll quickly run through them. MMS requiring higher ground clearance simply because that gives you more room for the light to go in and do its work under the table. Higher module spacing from the purlin is good to avoid very close-up shadow of the purlin. There are some challenges coming from sloping ground conditions. Overall, your MMS will be slightly heavier. There is a higher wind load because you're elevating the MMS. We do need to watch out, like I said, change management. We have to see how this is going to impact the conventional method of mounting modules. You might have to have people standing on little boxes to reach there. Same problem is there with the O&M. At the higher end, you may not be able to reach because you've elevated by another 500 let's say. A little more land is required because again, the higher pitch will give you better returns. And it's a simple techno-commercial calculation to work out which is the most optimum, depending on the price of your land and the yields that you get with each value of pitch. Albedo improvement is very interesting, but it is not yet proven. Okay, so the jury is out on that one. But there are so many diverse ways of doing it. These are interesting times, like I always say. With tracker, yeah, certainly you get a better generation with bifacial. A lot of work needs to be done with the tracker itself as a device to improve the LCOE. There are at this moment we are kind of going with what is tailored by the manufacturers, but there is a lot of room for user intervention and value addition. From the O&M perspective, bifacial is broadly the same, except that there is no automation yet for rare site cleaning. We'll just have to see whether it is really essential to clean it frequently. But at this moment, I'm prepared for manual cleaning, say couple of times in a year. Okay, a lot of care and attention has to be given to the formation of the string, especially the sizing of the fuses, sizing of the leads, even the string arrangement in terms of number of modules in series. This is because, you see, in certain seasons, you could have higher albedo there. You could have higher currents, and the string needs to be designed for those, right? So care is very important in sizing of the fuses, the cables, and the overall string, the combiner boxes, etc. In fact, I've had some discussions with inverter manufacturers. Some of them have said that they've started customizing their products. This is still in their design stage. They started customizing their products to handle each type of module. For example, a different product for handling M10, different for M12, and so on. But that is in the making. In terms of modeling, I would say PVsyst is still a little limited. There are quite a few parameters which, for which there is no clear basis of arriving at those numbers, but we are working on that. A number of empirical and software solutions are available, which need to be employed to ensure that you're choosing your parameters correctly. Otherwise, you will have some very runaway kind of yield predictions, which will not come true.
Ravinder, just a time check.
Yeah, sure. Maybe a minute more. Okay. Okay. Again, the different choices in modules has thrown up a lot of diverse requirements. Some modules high voltage, some are with high current. There is a lot of room for error. So a lot of design diligence is required when you are going with these different varieties of modules. Scope for error is quite high. Okay. In summary, I'd like to say that there's nothing to do with bifacial, but the kind of sizes of plants that we're dealing with. We're dealing with EHP, we're dealing with the PSS design, we're dealing with multiple varieties of modules, inverters, robots, trackers. So this is a time when you have to start employing real professionals to do the design work. It's no longer a case that 1-2 people will dally with the string design one day, do the MMS working another day, and then finish off with the AC design. Those days are over. I strongly encourage the forum here. Be sure you have professional people, because we have reached that scale of Tamil. That's
Very
my
well
message
said.
for today. Thank you.
Very well said, Ravin. I think that's very important, especially since there's a lot of price pressure across Indian tenders. Sometimes the quality aspects also has to be focused, right? Because we are guaranteeing PPAs for 20-25 years. That's something we should take care, definitely. One very nice point you brought up, Mr. Vindan, for our last speaker, the limitations of modeling software, right? PVSys also, okay, they can take into account bifaciality, but how much of what we assume in year 0 actually happens in year 4 or year 10? That's something I would like to have next speaker talk about, Mr. Sudhir Pathak, who has designed at Hero Future Energy. Sudhirji, please take us away. Can also share some ideas on how to design modules for string, and how do you do the modeling of the backside generation against albedo at a specific site. Any inputs you can share on this one would be really helpful for the audience.
Hi, Venkat. Hi, everybody. Right. So what I can understand when all other August speakers told about their apprehensions on the bifacial, and which is well founded. So I know that many of the audience, they may be having the experience of wind as well. So I will try to give a correlation. So till date, with simple monofacial fixed size, everything was going gung-ho that yes, now whatever we predict, we know that we will achieve something between P50 and P75, and we can predict the things. So now the time is coming, if you see the things with bifacial is going like that of wind. Because in monofacial, your sun god is everything, right? Whatever he gives you, you get the photons and then you generate, right? But wherein once you have a bifacial, now your earth, your mother earth has to play a major role, right? Along with the clouds also, they have to play the major role. The way we do in the wind, land profile, the complex terrain and everything, that and kind of wind resource we have, that keeps on varying, changing every maybe every 100 meters. So that is one big thing which is coming now. I will say that since I understand wind also. So the solar is going wind way. So I will name it like that. So that's why now we are discussing about various algos which can fit that. So we need to define how we can simulate the albedos, how we can simulate how the MMS is blocking my rays. So from that perspective, again, just one point on wind, that for any kind of wind power plant, we need to do a wind campaign. We have to put the mast where we have to measure the wind speed for 1 year, 2 years, or 3 years, or whatever, and then we are really knowing that what is going to be the impact. So the solar will be going in a similar way. Yeah, that is true that now the cost differential is coming down. And with the extinguishing of the polycrystalline, and with the advancement of the monofacials or monoperk, so it is nothing but natural that now bifacial will become a norm of the day with the time comes. And what extra pi we can attain by the backside generation, that will be an additional premium which we can attain. So now coming to the modeling part, definitely modeling part is there, like everybody on earth runs and knows PVSys, and we know that PVSys runs on an algorithm called view factor. So view factor, like what we typically name these algorithms as optical models, because we need to see that how optics works. So generally, there are two broad models which is available these days. One is called view factor, and second is called ray tracing. Right, so these are two called, they are named as optical models. So view factor is nothing but it is based upon the basic thermodynamics, how the heat transfer takes place. So that works on that fundamental principle. And since its algo is very simple, so it does not need high computational skills. It works on the basis of like you have, see how backside works. Either it takes a direct reflection from the ground, right? Or it takes a reflection from your rear modules, or it takes maybe from the cloud as a diffusion, it goes into the backside. So the view factor takes how the heat transfer, kind of radiance transfer happens from these three sources to the backside, right? So that is a simple algo which is taken in by the PVSys. Second thing is called ray tracing, which is really a very beautiful algo, which is basically being pioneered and developed by NREL, and it has been used till date up on the research scale. And why we see ray tracing? Ray tracing means that if suppose you are a ray, then from sun when you move out, where would you hit, and where would you ultimately impinge, right? That is what this works upon. So in this very important aspect, like which typically not done by view factor, is like your structural blockages, which is like I think one of the speakers was saying, yeah, I think Rabindraji was saying that you need to design the MMS very meticulously, which is definitely correct. Like earlier, like generally, and I think somebody was saying that now they're planning to retrofit bifacial. So retrofitting bifacial on a monofacial based structure, I think that should be extremely cautious, because see, ultimately it is LCOE, right? So in the earlier days when you had a polycrystalline, you used to design an MMS to get the minimum MMS weight. So the and used to run the purlin across the modules. If you try to fix your bifacial on the same MMS, you will never able to get the gain, because everything will be blocked. If any one cell gets blocked by the sunlight, by the MMS, then you are not going to get the gain, because everything is in series. So that is a very, very important caution, how we can stop blocking the rays from MMS. So that is what is being touted by ray effect, which is being done in the ray effect algorithm. Now coming to the practicalities. There have been several studies which has been done by Fraunhofer and even by NREL and some other research institutes, where they have compared the realities with these two models, right? So as I said that there should be a similar kind of wind mast campaign. So as a caution, now bifacial, whenever we take a bifacial, we need to do a real due diligence. That what is the real albedo by putting a inverted pyranometer on the backside, running it for maybe a few months, at least 1 year, to see that what albedo you are going to get. And then that can be taken as an input to the, because just taking albedo from the solar GIS or those things, that may be misfounded. And another big caution, that now we know that all our plants, they run with a grid limitation. And albedo is one kind of ghost, which can appear at times and which can disappear at another times. So whatever analysis we are doing in our PVSys, it assumes some common kind of albedo, and then it gives you an output. But you please understand that, like if you are 100 megawatt plant, if you go 102, you get a call from an RLDC or LDC that please limit to the grids, right? So if your albedo is helping you, and in the noon time, it is helping you to generate more, which has been already accounted for in your algorithm, but that limits your output. So whatever you are going to gain by bifacial, you are going to lose it, right? So that's a very, very important thing. So like coming back to your same question, what is the accuracy levels of these algos, right? So a kind of analysis has been done by Fraunhofer and several institutes in which they calculated the MBE, mean bias error, right? So in the mean bias error, they have found that ray tracing kind of algo is giving rather very, very limited error as compared to the view factor, which is PVSys. So again, a word of caution. But the good news is that PVSys gives a slightly pessimistic result, which is being has been assessed by different papers. So that is a good part, that whatever you are accounting for in LCOE, you may get slightly better. So I think these points are very important, but the most important point is that ultimately we have to do something on ground to see that it is really working before really just going into the loop of the manufacturers and the tracker manufacturers. So as my last sentence on this, that see, like the Saudi Arabian and the that Sahara Desert albedo has been proven to be somewhat some 31 to 32%. And you can you can easily define that the Badla is not the replica of definitely not Saudi Arabia or not of North Africa. Their albedo is very good. Sand is golden, and the radiation is 35% more in those areas. So definitely, if somebody is thinking that I will get the similar output by putting a tracker and everything, and also the latitude of those regions is better than that of Badla. So you are never going to get the same LCO what you're getting there. So that is takeaway from me.
Thank you. Really appreciate it. So these are very insightful that you can't compare two deserts just because they're called deserts. They're very different parts of the geography of the globe. I think that leaves us some time for questions from the audience. We have quite a few questions here. I'll just take it and share it to one of the speakers, and maybe you can share your feedback. First one is one we have seen is what is the difference between monoperk and bifacial with efficiency in terms of efficiency percentage? Is our friend from Longji here? You want to take this one, Yuan?
Okay, Venkat. Right now both the monofacial and the bifacial modules, they are adopting the bifacial cells. So with the cell efficiency, the same.
Similar. Okay. And next question is, a lot of people are talking about the factory quality in terms of bifacial modules as compared to monofacial module, right? Does Longji have any specific quality inspections or additional quality checkpoints, in the bifacial module where you have bifacial factory other than monofacial? I guess, Yuan, you can take this one also.
I didn't see that question. Can you please show me the question?
So this is from Vaman Kuber. He says, what factors are specific only to bifacial modules from a manufacturing quality perspective? It's in the question and answer window, Yuan.
Answering question window. Let me see that. You can conduct.
If you look at the bottom, there's a Q&A, question and answer.
Okay. Quality factors affect the long-term performance of bifacial to monofacial. Which factors are specific to only bifacial modules? I didn't get the point of this question. What does mean the quality factors affect long-term performance? Because right now we've done a lot of the reliability tests like DC. The biggest market of the bifacial is China and the USA. So we want to enter into the USA, we have to pass those very strict bankability test report from ITC and the PVE. So I think for the long-term performance, it is okay.
Okay. I think, they're asking from the perspective that bifacial cell manufacturing involves additional steps on the backside. I think it can also be assumed from a reliability standpoint, for which you have your own extended testing that you do.
One definitely,
yes.
From the manufacturing quality point of view, for the bifacial especially, definitely cell is also very critical. Cell obviously is critical for anything, but cell passivation especially is very, very important from the bifacial point of view. That is one thing which has to look into. The second is the backsheet. So backsheet plays a very, very important role in the bifacial module. So we have a Tedlar which gives us the transparent backsheet. Okay, it is they claim to be very good, and so that is one of the very, very important thing about the backsheet. So these are the couple of things which are very particular to bifacial modules quality point.
Thank you, Mr. Srinivas. We appreciate that. I think, yes, there's also a question on whether to go with a clear backsheet or a glass module, right, when it comes to bifacial. The challenge, of course, is the handling. people are comfortable handling regular normal polymeric backsheet because we have installed gigawatts globally. Glass definitely has to have separate special care, and work instructions have to be updated for the last mile worker, right? So that's something definitely everybody has to keep in mind. My next question is Mr. Manoj on the call, or is he left?
No, yes, I'm there.
Mr. Manoj, so there's a question because you mentioned about the Badla project where you have modules for about a year and a half now. The question is, what kind of special factors you look at when designing a desert project? It's from Balakrishna Singham. I just saw this question. Some of them are being answered as we speak. Please let me come back. Yeah. Compared to mono, apart from generation, what are the important aspects to be considered by developer from the DC side design and site conditions, like a desert, for example? And can you share an installation perspective? So 1.5 years ago means yours was probably the earliest bifacial plant in India. So do share your thoughts on that, please.
No, as I think as Sudhir has mentioned, so two desert cannot be same. So I think that is a point. I think because you can't rely whatever, as he mentioned, whatever manufacturers say that the plant has performed well in USA or plant has performed well in China, so may not perform well in India or may not perform same way as it has performed in other desert area of Southeast Asia or Middle East. So that is a constraint actually, I think, which we have to see while we are designing a plant. And second factor is now the new plant which we are putting up with the full bifacial, that is coming out in Jaisalmer area. So that is not a desert area effectively. So it's a Jaisalmer is called as a desert area, but I think the sand is different in that area. So that was a pilot project only, whatever we had put up. I think now we have learned whatever mistake we have done. So let's see what I mean whenever we are putting up the new plant now. So let's see whatever we learn and then how do we implement further.
Okay.
So maybe I'll hear more than that.
Manoj, are you using bifacial module with transparent backsheet or glass?
Pardon? Yeah, it's a bifacial.
Is it glass backsheet?
Glass.
Glass, not glass
Yes.
with backsheet.
No, as I mentioned, pilot project is with various combinations. So pilot project with backsheet also, pilot project with glass and glass also, pilot project with tracker also, and normal mono also, and poly also. So all five are at the same site.
And we launch have some recommendations. We do think currently the transparent backsheet is not a good choice for the bifacial module because humidity and the high temperature will cause the yellowing and the aging of the backsheet. So it will has the negative impact on the transparency and of the bifaciality. So where do you think glass is the best choice for it?
Yeah, first, Tedler, Miss DuPont is claiming that with the transparent backsheet of the Tedler make transparent backsheet, we can get a equal performance like glass. What is your comment?
So we are using DuPont backsheet for our this 133 megawatt plant.
With Tedler backsheet.
Yes.
Right now the module is getting larger, right? We have M10 and the G5, the wafer is larger. So during the installation and the handling transportation, so glass can, they get very large possibility to protect the modules from the crack. So where do you think, you want a long-term reliability and a long-term generation ability. So please choose the glass.
Okay. Sangeeta, do we have time for a few more questions? Just want to check on that. I think there's a lot of interest, lot of questions here. Okay.
Yes, sir. You can take up the questions.
All right. I'd like to next call upon Rabindran. This one is a very specific design level question. From design perspective, are you considering string inverters versus central inverters as you look at bifacial? One question very specifically is from Vikash Kumar. He's asking, does regular grid tie inverter from 5 to 60 kilowatt are able to cater to the higher current from a bifacial module? So Rabindran, can you take this one, please?
Okay, I'm sorry. The second question is not
Okay,
not
no.
my area.
Okay.
Because we don't deal with such small inverters.
You don't. Okay, you're not considering string inverters.
I don't know specifically whether it is it can do it higher currents. But yeah, coming to string inverters now, they call string inverters, but they're effectively now in the region of 250 kilowatt.
Correct.
They're available in the market, right? And they are a very viable solution technically to handle bifacial modules, because bifacial, as you can visualize, the each row of a bifacial for example, in a 3P or 2P arrangement, the upper row will have higher gain compared to the lower row. So straight away you have a mismatch between two rows. It's best to arrange these in a string inverter so that you get a little higher efficiency here of energy collection. But of course, string inverters are still costly overall. But in the long run, I would say that bifacial will go with string inverter.
Okay, that's an interesting take on things. So you want to control it at the string level.
Venkat, our 133 megawatt plant of bifacial is with a string inverter only.
Perfect.
Okay, it looks like market has somewhat spoken today, which way things are going. Thank you, Rabindranath and Manoj. I think there are a couple of very specific questions on PV cyst. I'll hand this over to Sudhir. Sudhir Pathak. So the questions are: what should be a module transparency factor that you assume in PV cyst, and what differences in PV cyst should we change for simulation, especially for a bifacial module? I think one of the things you have to add in is the bifaciality factor, right? Sudhir, please take it away.
Module transparency is different thing, and module bifaciality is different thing, right? I think there is one question on module transparency, which I infer what the person wants to say is that, like, since there are gaps in between the cells, so whatever light is falling on the module, it is crossing and going back, right? So I think that is what user wants to ask. So that is basically not is being modeled in PV cyst. It is an inherent part. So that is not being factored in, because for that you need to define really the gap between cells, right? And then so in my opinion, if you go into the ray tracing algo, which is as of now it is not commercial, in which really you can model each and every cell. It is driven on a Python language, and in the Python language you can really write the complete dimensions of the cell, the module, and each and everything. And I think that can really help you out in that. But PVC does not take care of that. Regarding the bifaciality, as of now, we have to take what our OEM says. And so we just should not take it at the face value. We should get the proper reports thoroughly tested in a third-party lab from by the OEMs, right? So that is very, very important. And I think there was some discussion on reliability, right? So I would like to state something on that. So I think initially somebody was saying that initially modules started with a fixed dimension and only cell efficiency was improving. So your dimensional window was same and only efficiency was improving. So everything was going well and good. But now in the last 1.5 years, it's a kind of rat race, if I say so. People are jumping from M2.5 to 6 to 12, now G12, and tomorrow we don't know what will be. It's like i10 as i20 kind of mobile, right? So this kind of huge acceleration in or shall I say competition led by technology. So now OEMs are slightly leaving behind the reliability test. When we insist the OEMs to please tell us, to please submit us the reliability test, because now just see the way things are going from 6 bus bar, now we are at a 12 bus bar. With the gaps are reducing. Now it is paving, tiling, shingling modules. So huge dynamics in the module design, module engineering. So which is not leaving breather to the OEMs or to spend money, because they know that this module is going to extinguish in another 4 or 5 months. Why should I spend so much amount? And this is a huge alarm bell, specifically for the countries like us. Those are in the tropical countries, right? Vietnam, even Saudi as well. Because if you don't go through the reliability test in a tropical country like us, hot and humid, we don't know what is going to happen to the soldering of these bus wires. Tomorrow we should not land up that, okay, after 5 years, now we are standing with a huge degradation, reduced performance. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Sujit. Appreciate your.
Rebecca, can I say something about the module transparency factor?
Sure, you are.
Sure.
Right now, the bifacial module, the real glasses, they choosing to use the glaze coating glass. So yes, there is a gap between the cells, but the light strike on the module surface, they cannot go through this module. So for the module transparent factor, it's 0. But in PV system, there is a shared transparency. Yes, the module, when you align the module in the bracket, there's a clearance gap between each module. So already Sudhir already gave the methods and the calculation ways to how to calculate the shared transparency.
Okay, thank you, Yuan. There's a couple of questions specific to modules that I can answer here. So from Balaji, current bifacial modules offer less PV loss due to temperature comparative to the older mono modules. What could be the reason? So Balaji, so one reason could be is as technology has improved, the temperature coefficients of modules are being more tightly controlled. So as temperature increases, modules perform poorer, right? The more hotter it is, it impacts directly negatively the modules. So the temperature coefficient is a factor which decides how much the loss is because of temperature rise. And modern technologies like TopCon or NPERT, anything on the N-type modules also, they're able to offer better temperature coefficient. That's why they perform better even at a higher temperature than older generation modules. And your second question is interested to hear from the speakers on LID and LETID values to be considered in PV syst. I think I'll give this back to on LID, I guess, Mr. Ravindran, can you answer this one? And LETID, I guess it's not directly considered in PV syst, if I'm not wrong, because most modules, they test to LETID and they already give you that its modules are LETID resistant from a third party. So even though that test is not a standard yet, there are various tests done for LETID and you can get some indication how much the Mr. Ravindran, can you share some light on the LID values to be assumed?
Okay. Am I audible? Yeah.
Yes, please.
I think there will not be any difference between the monofacial and the bifacial. Whatever you get for the like it was observed, the cell remains the same.
Like only if you go to N-type, maybe it's you can assume negligible LID.
I don't have the numbers readily here, but if it's P-type, it's the same. There's no change.
On 1 to 2%. Yeah. Okay. I think even those numbers are being improved by gallium doping on the cell level. LID numbers are falling as we can see from the various technology announcements. One last question.
LETID will not be considered during modeling, I believe.
Correct. That's what
it's a failure mode.
Yeah, it's not included in the PV systems. That's what I am. Thanks for confirming that, Ravindran. I think we have time for one more question. How is bifacial plant sizing DC overloading done, considering variability in albedo and back surface collection? Anyone wants to take this one?
I think the EPC company, they are more professional in this question.
Mr. Srinivas, can you address this one?
Can you just repeat the question? Sorry.
How is a DC oversizing, DC AC ratio designed for bifacial? Comparing variability in albedo and back surface collection.
I'm sorry, I'm unable to answer that question.
Is it Mr. Ravindran again or Mr. Sudhir? Can you take this one?
Yeah, let me try to explain this. Yeah, see, I think in my when I was speaking, I spoke about this. Like, so that is, I think I gave that name as a ghost, right? So that it is a ghost which has to be controlled. So, like whenever you are taking, why at all you are overloading it? I think that is a fundamental question I want to think about. And what is the technical limitation of overloading your system? So one of the technical limitation of overloading is definitely your brain which is inverter. You need to see that how much overloading, because your AC capacity is fixed. That means you are overloading your brain, which I name as inverter. So your inverter should be able to handle that kind of ghost, extra current, which will be ushered into its electronics. So from that perspective, what we should do 2 or 3 things. Number one, I think when we are buying the module, bifacial module specifically, then we should ask, or we should have a test done by our module manufacturer about a kind of real flash test, which I think Yuan can reply very well, that backside as well as front side flash test should happen, and there should be a report which could be submitted to us, to the developer, that what is the real gain which you are going to have once you have a 1000 watt per meter square radiation on the backside. Yeah, that is generally, we can say that comes from the bifaciality, number one. Number two, you should have a real touch base, like as I told you, the analogy of the wind, that you should have the real pyrometer installed on the rear side and check what is the real gain or radiation you get on the backside in an interannual system, right? So these 2 things are extremely important. And then 3, what is the maximum current your inverter can handle? So on these 3 aspects, you need to tweak your design and see that you should not simply blindfoldly design for 1.50, 1.5 to 1, or even 1.35 to 1. And then ultimately you are finding that your system is burning, right? So this is very, very important. And that question was good, but that answer is not science, it is an art. So somebody has to master both of them. Yeah.
Thank you for that closure. It's so, like you have been saying from even earlier, looks like we have to go the wind way, to get that feel for albedo at a specific site. But considering our PPA timelines, once you sign PPA, you have to close the project in 18-24 months. It's always going to be a challenge how much we can just develop a site and then decide what project can we install on it, right? But it's definitely something we need to think about as a solar PV ecosystem in India as we develop more projects. So thank you so much. I think we have run out of time. I think we've answered most of the questions, if not all. Please do send it to us separately through First View, and we'll see if we can answer them after the call. Once again, I want to close by saying thanks very much to all the speakers. Very interesting and useful information all shared, right from designing to installation to handling modules to O&M. I think we covered very big breadth of topics in our hour and a half that we have had today. So thank you so much, First View, for keeping this seminar at the forum at the right time in the industry. We are at an inflection point when it comes to bifacial in India. So thanks to First View team and thanks to all the speakers. Back to you, Sangeeta, and take it away.
Thank you so much, key speakers, for your valuable insights. Venkat sir, thank you so much for moderating today's session. But before we conclude, can I request our team to play a video from Longi Solar?
The last 2 decades, we experienced the rise of Chinese photovoltaic companies and the transformation of Longi from a pathfinder and an inventor of technology to an industry leader. Longi was established in 2000 and changed the game rules of the industry by promoting monocrystalline modules in 2015. In 2016, Longi's Monopod technology brought the industry into an era of high efficiency and low LID. In 2017, Longi's Bifacial technology increased the module power output to rare side radiation. In 2019, as silicon wafers led the industry to ultra high power. With strong innovations, Longi has made numerous achievements like 24.06% efficiency of monocrystalline per cell, the highest production of bifacial monocrystalline modules in the world. Advances in LCOE optimization. Now, Longi is about to set up another advancement in the industry once again. The latest Longi high-profile modules optimize LCOE, especially designed for cardio.
Geeta, I think having video issues again.
Yes, can I request my team to kindly replay the video?
Maybe you can send a link to all the participants. It's a short video, I think.
Yes, I'm so sorry, attendees. Again, we are facing a technical glitch. I'm sorry, attendees. We are again facing a technical glitch. I would request my team to stop sharing the screen.
The last 2 decades, we experienced the rise of Chinese photovoltaic companies and the transformation of Longi from a pathfinder and an inventor of technology to an industry leader. Longi was established in 2000 and changed the game rules of the industry by promoting monocrystalline modules in 2015. In 2016, Longi's Monopod technology brought the industry in.
Can I request my team to stop sharing the video, please? I'm so sorry, attendees. There was again a technical glitch from our end. Thank you. So sorry, attendees. There was again a technical glitch from our end. And we thank you all the attendees for not just joining us today, but continuously being a part of our event series. So with this positive note, we were ending today's event and promise you to come back soon with our second event of the series on PV module technology. So till then, bye from our end and have a colorful weekend. Happy Holi in advance. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Mm.